Welcome to Peculiar Tales, the show where we dive into the stranger things in history, urban legends, ghost stories, and anything else we find, well, peculiar. I'm Christy.
And I'm done. When you first look at this hotel, you will see a majestic building made of brick and stone. It is described as having a chateau-esque style with steep pitched roofs made of copper and turrets accompanied by the arched windows. In the beginning, there was ivy that covered the walls, some say giving it a storybook appearance. In the 60s, there was a major addition, and in the 1980s, another major renovation was done. And in 2017, again, renovations were completed, once more reaching costs of over $60 million. It's nearly 120 years old and is world-renowned. It sits across from a harbor and has a reputation for being Canada's castle on the coast. This hotel is the pride of the city of Victoria. Inside the hotel, it has a rich Edwardian luxury design, complete with marble floors, crystal chandeliers, ornate ceilings, and velvet furnishings. There's a crystal ballroom dripping with elegance that over the past 100+ years there have been royal events and society events such as weddings. Many prominent people stayed here: kings, queens, actors, musicians, politicians. Queen Elizabeth's Queen Mother gifted the hotel royal china that has inspired today's tea service. The tea room serves hundreds of thousands of cups of tea a year. The hotel even has its own blend of tea, exclusive to only this hotel. But it's not the amazing designs or the picture-perfect views that we're going to be talking about today. Instead, Christy and I will be telling you of scandals and hauntings that are connected to the hotel. With such a saturated history, let's see what else the hotel has to offer.
Our tale starts January 20th, 1908. The Empress, as it was originally named, had just finished its construction. It was a part of a string of hotels that would be found along routes of the Canadian Pacific Railway, in the best locations, attracting the rich and famous, you could say. It was Mr. Francis Rattenberg, who was the man who designed many prominent buildings. These are some of them: the Vancouver Art Gallery, the Chateau Lake House, as well as both the Parliament buildings in Victoria and the Empress Hotel. He was at the time considered to be the #1 architect. He had imagination and, better yet, ambition that seemed to be unmatched, which became inspiration to many. However, Francis had another persona as well. It has been written that Francis was arrogant. He had addictions and was possibly corrupt. We don't like to point out the dirty laundry, so to say, when we speak of prestigious places and people, but sometimes, to tell a story, we must add these parts in too.
Francis knew scandal. His personal life seemed to have taken a slippery slide into chaos. The darker side of himself, one could suggest, gave drive to the personal one. However, it seems happiness was not to encircle Francis. Rats, as his friends called him, fell in love with a piano player and wanted a divorce from his wife Florrie to start a life with his new love. His wife, that was also the mother of his children, disagreed. But Francis, it has been said, did crap things to get his way. His lover moved in, and he would never hide his affair with his mistress in public, causing embarrassment to his wife and his business partners to give him the cold shoulder. To try to get Florrie, the wife, to leave, he would play the piano, the death march. Finally, his wife and him got a divorce, and shortly later, within a few months, she died of cancer. By 1929, Francis and Alma, the lover he got a divorce for, moved to England. Francis, it has been said, started to drink. A lot, and Alma wasn't having it. His marriage fell apart and his wife found a lover. This love affair set in motion events that we are still talking about today. Alma was sleeping with an 18 or 19-year-old chauffeur, And not just any chauffeur, but a live-in one. Yep. And the chauffeur's name was George Percy Stoner. Soon enough, he found himself not just under the sheets with Alma, but he was going to be under suspicion as well.
On March 23rd, 1935, Frances Rattenberg was found in the sitting room with serious head trauma. It appeared after being assessed that Frances was hit in the head with some sort of hammer or mallet. He didn't die right away on the 23rd, which was surprising and still is, because he was hit so hard and so many times that documentation shows that the back of his skull had been cracked off. He lived for another 4 days. He was 67 years old. From here, the scandal seems to get more interesting. Alma confessed to the murder, but then her lover said, "No, I did it." From there, they were both charged with the murder, but later in time, Alma took back her confession.
George was convicted and sentenced to die. However, something like 300,000 people signed a petition that stated they all felt that Alma basically conned him into doing it. And so, George spent 7 years as a prisoner, and then he was let out early so he could fight in World War I. When the war ended, he had a quiet average life, and he died at 83. Alma, though, well, her story is much different. She was acquitted from the courts, but on June 4th was found dead at the age of 37. Now, it was determined that she committed suicide in an unusual way. Alma stabbed herself 6 times in her chest with a dagger, then proceeded to throw herself into the River Stour at Christchurch. I know, but wait. Documentation tells us that 3 of the stab wounds went directly into her heart.
Okay.
That's not a common way to commit suicide.
No.
Mm-mm.
From here, these tragedies became part of local legend. Frances did die in England. However, on more than a few occasions, guests and workers have claimed to see a man, sometimes with a cane, walking the halls. The reportings describe what Frances looked like in life. However, this has been debated because while some say that it was the Empress that Francis considered to be his best work of his life, his proudest achievement, I guess you could say, that this is why he could be seen. On the flip side of this idea, he did not finish the Empress. A man by the name of William Sutherland Maxwell did. And so, some say maybe the apparition that is seen is actually William.
If you travel to the 6th floor of the hotel, it's been claimed that there could be a woman who is confused in her afterlife as to where her room is. There was a time that a woman in later years of age died of natural causes in her room after World War I. This lady has been named Margaret. After the woman's death, the room had been unrentable. Things were being reported. Eventually, the choice was made to turn the room into an elevator. Some claims near the 6th floor rooms have been that the woman knocks on doors and is seen in front of the elevator. It seems during these moments that the woman simply disappears.
There have been a lot of claims of things that happen here, such as the bellhop who is still a devoted worker even in the afterlife. He too is said to vanish. There was a chambermaid that was known as Lizzie McGrath. She worked there when the hotel was still very much new. This Catholic girl said her rosaries on the fire escape of the 6th floor each night. However, poor Lizzie died one night while stepping onto the fire escape, except the escape was gone. It had been removed for work to be done. Lizzie fell to her death. Nowadays, the chambermaid has been the focus point of some sightings in the hallway.
There's a lot to this hotel.
Yeah, there is.
Like we said earlier, almost 120 and rich in history.
Yeah.
So some of the people that stayed here, we did mention, we touched down that actors, politicians, and such.
Mm-hmm.
So some of those people were Bob Hope. He liked a certain room.
Oh, nice.
So someone had written that he enjoyed the carpet outside this particular room because it was perfect to practice as a putting green,
Oh.
right? He
Okay,
liked
fair
that.
enough.
Yep. And John Wayne, he was there and he liked to play bartender when he was there and just make drinks for the people at the bar.
That's pretty cool.
Shirley Temple, she used it as a refuge. So at some point in her life, somebody threatened her with kidnapping.
Mm.
Like she was
Mm-hmm.
worried. So she sought refuge there.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah. And Bing Crosby. Now he's a classic
Mm-hmm.
back in the day. And I didn't know this until this story, but he was so comfortable there. He liked the place so much. He would be seen without his hairpiece.
Oh.
I didn't even know the
I
man wore a
didn't know he
hairpiece.
wore one. Did
Right?
not know that.
Interesting things, you know?
Yeah. That's pretty comfortable though, because if people don't even know you have one and then you're comfortable enough in a space to just take it off.
And that's a public space,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah. That shows what kind of privacy they felt they had in this place though.
Yeah. Like everything about this building just screams like elegance.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're in Hollywood in that time, you would definitely, I think, feel this is made just for
Yeah,
that type of society, right?
absolutely.
So tell me, do you think Francis received his karma?
Huh. I mean, I don't wish harm upon anybody, but you played the death march at your ex-wife
Yeah.
to get her to leave. Ominous
With your
and
mistress living
terrible.
there, can we
Yeah,
add that
and
into the cocktail?
you didn't hide it. You flaunted that. You made her feel terrible. So, yeah.
I feel like probably murder was over the top with this. Sleeping with the chauffeur in front of him would have been adequate enough, in my opinion. Like,
Right.
there's that, right?
Yep, there was that.
So, I don't know. I think he got his karma. She
Absolutely.
did the same to him, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
It's just been recently done, but his grave was unmarked.
Really?
Yeah, his grave was unmarked until recent. And that's
Wow.
all I could kind of find on it. So, to our
I wonder
listeners, if you
why.
can find it, like the why.
Yeah, I wonder why. That's strange.
It is interesting because he was such a prominent person. Even if he was a bit of a jerk there, right, in life. I don't know if you could call it power tripping, but he was very prominent, right?
An asshole.
There you go. Anyway, he still made these accomplishments in life,
Mm-hmm.
so to not have a headstone is quite interesting for somebody so prominent.
Well, and it wasn't like he was a John Doe. It wasn't like they didn't know who he was until years later. They knew when it happened who he was.
Unless they just wanted it so that people wouldn't go to it. I mean,
Maybe.
we've heard of that before.
Yep, that is
So
true.
this is interesting too. So we didn't touch down on the courts, right? We didn't do any of the transcripts or
Right.
anything like that. But just as a little tidbit here, while her husband was being murdered downstairs, she was upstairs.
Okay. So, Lizzie Borden situation?
I think so. Because you read that and you have to wonder, like, you could have stopped it.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel like she was a part of it. Whether she wielded the hammer or not, I definitely think she was probably a part of it.
Because you'd have to imagine that they would have all this money.
Mm-hmm.
It's not too far-fetched, I would think, to think that her and the lover, like, we could have it all.
Right. Get rid of him and then we get the money and
How cold is that?
yeah, that's terribly cold.
And, okay, I don't know how. I don't know how someone can stab themselves 6 times 3 of them through the heart, I believe it said.
Mm-hmm.
Then to still have enough energy to wield yourself, like yeet yourself off something into a river.
Mm-hmm.
Who even thinks that that's suicide?
Okay, so either there was a
Lord.
cover-up and they knew right away who it was, or whoever made that decision, let's say, was an idiot.
Because you know it's not the ex-wife. The
Nope.
ex-wife passed away. Francis was clearly gone.
Mm-hmm.
The chauffeur was in prison.
Mm-hmm.
So who's left? Like, that's a whole nother episode one day.
Right, because that's the thing. Obviously, that was murder. That was
Like, who
not
killed
a
Alma?
suicide.
And could we ever find out is the
Right.
question, because they're like, nope, suicide. So super lazy or
Or,
conspiracy,
yeah,
right?
exactly. Because there is no way. You don't stab yourself in the chest. 3 to the heart.
Okay, first of all, too, okay, so you hear of it that people, when they go to unalive themselves, that they have that moment of hesitation, that one last moment, that they're like, maybe, no, this isn't what I want. So to stab your heart, not just once, but
3
all
times?
3 times.
Yeah, that takes some
Honest,
force.
yeah, but the pain.
But that's what I'm saying.
Like, you got pain from the first time of doing it. You're gonna pull that out, do it twice more? I don't think so,
and you
sir.
have to do that with so much force while you're in the middle of suffering through all this pain to get it through to your heart.
You what? You may stab yourself the first time, and then you got a couple other stabs, then again, another big stab, then another big stab, then that's not good enough. I gotta go in the river.
That's what I
What?
mean. Then you go for a
What?
little saunter down to the water after that.
What? Yeah, it's just
No,
wrong. I'm
no.
sorry.
There's absolutely nothing about
And
that that
where's her
connects.
family? Like, she's got to have more family
Mm-hmm. You would think.
to say, "Excuse me, sir. This doesn't add up. Your math does not math today."
No, no,
No.
it does not, because there is no way someone puts themselves through that.
Okay, so here you go. You get a paper cut. What's the first thing you do? You drop everything and you're grabbing your finger and you're like,
Son of a.
"Oh my God, worst pain ever." That's a paper cut.
Yeah,
Right in
no.
your heart? I
The
don't
amount
know.
of
I don't buy
force you
it.
would
I don't
have to
buy it.
do it with, there's no way.
No,
There's
that's going to be
absolutely no
another
way.
episode one day. It has to be, because I am interested to find out more about Miss Alma.
Yeah, because it had to have been murder. Clearly, there's more to that story. That has to be murder.
We will be digging into that one day.
Yes.
When there's a place that has made its mark on the world in a way that the Empress Fairmont did, there's always a good story to go with it. There have been so many people that passed underneath those chandeliers, perhaps to meet a lover or a spouse, perhaps to meet royalty, or even just stay there to have a tea in its famed tea room, or to look at the views that have changed over the decades. And the stories of the ones looking out those windows that have yet to be told. When the lights are dimmed and the footsteps heard, maybe it's not from a guest now, but from one who never really did check out. Is it a worker still engaged with duties? Is it that shadow you think you've seen in the corner of your eye there? Who really knows with the Empress Fairmount? We at Peculiar Tales can clearly see and understand why this hotel has inspired many people in life. And as always, thank you for listening to us today, and be sure to leave us a rating, review, or comment, as it helps us reach more listeners. And follow us on your platform you listen to us on. That way you don't miss an episode. And until the Peculiar calls for another tale, bye for now.